The Backrooms. From the bygone era of Slenderman and Jeff the Killer, to the more recent urban legends like Siren Head, nothing comes close to the impact that the Backrooms has had on the internet. With a theoretical infinite amount of strange inhabitable worlds where physics bends to unknown laws, it's not hard to see why people have such a vivid imagination for the vast amount of creatures that lurk within its mysterious halls. Before we get too far, allow me to elaborate what the Backrooms even means. The Backrooms is a non-Euclidean space usually filled with replica man-made structures that have an uncanny valley feeling that stems from its infinite length and strange pattern structures that seem to repeat themselves in redundant, illogical ways. For instance, most of the hallways of Level 0 can sometimes generate in ways that make traversing them nearly impossible, without the proper gear, that is. Scientists have been pondering whether we live in a simulation since the dawn of computers. So who's to say whether no-clipping into a world of procedurally generated assets, such as hallways, is really such a deranged idea? And what if the simulation was left on, without any moderation? It doesn't take a genius to know that simulations can sometimes glitch and break. So what happens when it's an entire universe that's glitching? Would you no-clip into non-existence? Or would the laws of thermodynamics keep you from ceasing to exist, causing the engine to instead load you into one of its other simulated worlds that the original simulation will sometimes grab assets from to use in the original sim? I know, this sounds crazy. But all I'm trying to get at is that programs work by following the code that was written for it. Most programs will attempt to right the wrongs from glitches to stop the entire simulation from suddenly coming to a halt. If a person no-clipping poses a threat to the simulation, it makes sense that it would protect itself before all the errors shut it down. What if there was a survivor from one of these incidents, and somehow they no-clipped back into our reality? Could this be the origin of the Backrooms accounts? With the internet as big as it is and how easy it is to be anonymous, who's to say where it all really began? And why is it this so-called almond water works as some kind of cure-all to all the problems in the Backrooms? If you're unaware, it's a common trope of the Backrooms lore that almond water is used to kill creatures that reside within the Backrooms, as well as to be drunk as a tonic to keep yourself sane and healthy. Remarkably similar to an Estus flask from the Souls games, or perhaps just a normal health potion from a magic-based fantasy game. I have another theory on top of all of that to explain where all of these extra-dimensional spaces come from and why they seem procedurally generated. What if the simulation we live in sometimes borrows our own processing powers that stem from our thoughts, just to create these so-called Backrooms levels? It would explain why the vast majority of these levels seem to be creations that are exact representations of man-made buildings. Look no further than Level 0 itself. It's a hallway. A man-made, mundane hallway. After that, you have a car garage, steam pipes that fill hallways, an ever-expansive electrical station, an abandoned office building, and even a hotel-themed level. The only confirmed level that isn't a man-made structure is a cave system, one of early man's first kinds of livable shelters. It would inevitably seep into modern humanity's greater unconscious memory. Not to mention it's the lowest confirmed level, as if all the other levels were built on top of it, as humanity evolved their building habits. What if the people who have no-clipped into the backrooms, who are able to subtly send messages through the mindscape, between the dimensions. It would explain why there's been a sudden change in our perspective of the mysterious plane of existence. After all, the Backrooms lore has existed for a very, very long time. It just suddenly blew up in popularity out of nowhere because of Kane Pixel's docuseries detailing experiments the government is doing to learn more about this place. During the docuseries, there's an episode that shows a growing amount of people suddenly no-clipping at an exponential rate, and that it seems to be non-stop and could possibly continue into the present. If more and more people were trapped there, and if they could, be it on accident or on purpose, communicate with us on the outside, it would explain the sudden intrigue with this massive lore. Hell, I used to play video games with the Backrooms modded into it, like Nazi Zombies levels, before it was widely known about, but that was very rare to find. Smilers, facelings, partygoers, hounds, skin stealers, frowners, insanities, and death moths. This is the very tip of the hypothetical iceberg of creatures that reside within the dimension of the Backrooms. In truth, there have been hundreds of fauna that have been said to be present in the specified levels. Kind of like in a video game, where each level introduces new enemies and other NPCs. The most popular of them, so far, is an unnamed entity that stalks level 0. The creature, if we can call it that, has been theorized by some to be made of mold, or perhaps that it used to be a human, but it succumbed to the strange atmosphere and lack of cohesion to basic physics, and eventually became emaciated to the point of becoming a literal stick man. I think it's actually something much more fitting for the lore. Perhaps whatever engine crafted this simulated universe had mistakes while attempting to create sentient beings like humans. Like a child learning how to draw a person, it seems to have drawn a 3D stick man with a face crudely scrawled on it. If you look closely at this still image from Kane Pixel's first video on this subject, you can clearly make out features that make up a humanoid face. This theory is backed by some interesting new evidence. If you listen very closely to what the sounds of the creature makes are, you can faintly make out the words, "Wait," "Don't go," "No," and "Please don't." As if it's trying to stop you from hurting yourself. If you slow down the last few moments of the encounter with the creature, you can see it was catching the person before they fell into the hole, while the camera drops into the real world, falling from a height that would have killed the person if he did fall. If you were stuck in a strange place that you couldn't escape from, and every chance you had to communicate with other entities, they seemed to always run away from you and hurt themselves in the process, wouldn't you try to stop them? Wouldn't you scream for them to stop? It's only later in Kane Pixel's series that we get introduced to a government facility that seems to have made a portal to the Backrooms. This is quite the discovery to have found an extra-dimensional space. The things we could do with this knowledge is unfeasible with our current understanding of the universe. The potential to create a portal from one part of the planet to the other, using the Backrooms as a middle point, could mean much easier forms of travel and potentially quicker methods, since there is no telling if the distance could be shorter simply because the Backrooms are non-Euclidean and defy all laws of known reality. Not to mention the storage capabilities of an endless space is astronomical. I would worry, however, that with the current state of our inequality and our world politic, that the governments of the world would send the quote-unquote unwanted members of society to live there in an attempt to get rid of these so-called problems that they create. And that's not even going into the fact that the government could transport weapons of mass destruction and cause mass death before anyone would even know it happened. Now, with that thought on your mind, if you'd like to learn more about the Backrooms, there's a wiki that covers just about every one of these creatures that reside within them and the various levels that, either confirmed or not, exist within the Backrooms. Who knows if learning more about this could potentially save your life one day. Good luck out there. Be safe. Oh, and if you do end up no-clipping into the Backrooms, do me a favor. Be nice to the stick man. He's just lonely.